So I'm back in the lab and I'm ready to do my other two parts of my sampling. The first one that I'm going to do is my turbidity, which is looking at how much sediment is in my water sample. So you can see here, this is the day after I collected my water sample. Again, if I took the temperature today, it would be totally wrong compared to what it was in the water body. So I've got my water sample here. I'm going to put on some gloves. I'm not going to wear a lab coat because I don't really need to, but if you want to and feel fancy, you can. I'm just wearing this because the creek that we sampled from was a bit of a stormwater drain. It did not look quite pretty. So in front of me, I've got something called a measuring cylinder. If you can try and find the biggest measuring cylinder you can, ask a science teacher, they should be able to source you one. You can see this has got graduations going all the way out. Technically, you should be able to measure a litre into this, so 1,000 mils. I've got a ruler, a very small ruler, but I've measured the graduations and how many centimetres those graduations are, okay? That's not necessarily important. What you will need now is something called a secchi disc. And it's spelled S-E-C-C-H-I, but it's pronounced secchi. And I've just printed one out on the printer. If you wanted to, you could get the one on your computer because it's on your assessment sheet and just put it on your laptop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my measuring cylinder on top of my secchi disc like this. Now that's important because I need to be able to see the secchi disc from the top. Right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in my sample to the point where I can no longer see my secchi disc. And for some of you, that might be really easy to achieve with a small cylinder like this. For me, I think it's going to be a bit trickier because my water sample is pretty clear. But I'm just going to pour it in now. I'm going to make sure that I've shaken it up a little bit. So I get all the sediment evenly distributed through my sample. Okay, so I'm about 50 mils in, and I'm going to have a look. I can still see my disc, so I'm going to keep going. Remember, I'm looking in from the top. Yep, I can still see my disc. And this is where it might get tricky for you because if your cylinder is not big enough, you won't have enough depth to be able to gauge what your depth of water is before you can't see your secchi disc. So if you can't get an accurate reading, that's okay. Just say clearer than the highest reading you can get, and I'll go through that in a sec. I can only just see it now, so this is going to be pretty close. I'm going to pour all of my sample in there. Okay, so I'm over 100 mils now, so I'm over 1,000 mils, so I'm over a litre, because I know it's a 1.25 bottle. I'm going to look in, it's pretty close to not being able to be seen. I'll give you a bit of a close-up. Okay, so I've got my... Okay, so I've got my measuring cylinder here. You can see just underneath my secchi disc is sitting underneath. It's important that it's a glass disc. And if I look into my top of my tube, you can see that I can just see the secchi disc. So this is a pretty clear sample, but some of yours might be dirtier than this or more turbid than this. So I'm just going to measure the maximum, and then I'm going to convert it to NTUs, and I'll show you how to do that. So with my full cylinder now, even though I can still see the secchi disc, I'm still going to measure it and just say, this is the best reading that I can get. So if you can still see the secchi disc up to over 30 or 40 centimetres, that's pretty good. And I'd be surprised, if you can get a longer tube, that's great. But normally with a secchi disc, what we do is we actually drop it down into the water on a rope, and then we mark where the rope goes down to where you can't see it anymore. So if you're on a boat or something, you can actually drop it down quite a long way. So if you're in the Mediterranean or on the Gold Coast, you should be able to get a pretty good reading, or if you're in Freycinet, you should be able to get a really, really deep reading before you can't see that secchi disc. So I've just measured this cylinder, and it's 44 centimetres. So now I'm going to turn those 44 centimetres and turn them into nephometric turbidity units, which is what NTU stands for. And those units give us a bit of an indicator into how much sediment is in the water. If it's got a lot of sediment, so if the NTU reading is really high, that means that it's actually going to be unsafe to drink. So anything less than 10 NTUs is totally unsafe to drink. This is pretty dirty, you can kind of see when you have the close-up. I wouldn't drink this if I were you. And also that only tells us how much dirt or organic matter's in the water. It doesn't tell us about any other things that we can't see. So that's how you measure turbidity using a measuring cylinder and a secchi disc.
I've got my reading for my turbidity and I'm on my assessment sheet. I'm going to scroll down past part 1, part 2, and go down to the turbidity instructions. I know that my tube was exactly 44 centimetres, so my reading for my water, the distance from the bottom of my tube would be 44 centimetres, so I'm going to go all the way down to here, and then I'm going to go across and register my NTUs. Remember that is another reading that we use to describe how much sediment is in water. So my reading, or the best reading I can get, is 13. It's probably going to be smaller than that because I couldn't get it past 44 centimetres because my tube was too small, but we could say 13 NTUs or smaller. So that's going to be our reading.